I discovered I was more invested in strangers' arguments than my marriage, and that realization almost destroyed us. Okay, so this happened on a work trip. She asked what I wanted. I shrugged. She went quiet. My throat tightened. Right? I checked my phone out of habit. Notifications kept rolling. Not from her. From a real rabbit hole. I know. Pathetic. And here is where it gets worse. Our shared calendar showed another canceled date night. Mia texted me, "You good?" The timestamp showed 2 in the morning. She wrote that my wife had cried again because I was just there. Not really there. We were sitting on the hotel bed when she finally turned toward me. Her voice went flat. "I'm exhausted dragging you." I rubbed my face. I thought being easygoing helped. She shook her head slowly. "It feels like abandonment." I stared at the wall. I didn't know it landed like that. Her voice cracked. "You didn't want to know." The next day I opened the usage reports and our calendar. 4 months of weekend plans grayed out. 23 canceled dates since March. 3 times weekly takeout charges when I promised to cook. My screen time average? Nearly 7 hours daily. Most of it doom scrolling. At this point, I'm done with pretending this is fine. The counselor leaned forward, her hands clasped. One more withdrawal like last weekend and she might separate. Her eyes held mine. We measure this in losses. Holidays alone. A kid choosing sides. Missed years you can never buy back. I called our employee assistance line. Waitlist, 6 weeks. I messaged my doctor. He suggested better sleep and walks. I tried a pastor. He told me to serve more, not less. I just stood there thinking, if the system won't help, what now? Part of me wanted to crawl back into the room and scroll until time disappeared. Part of me wanted to move. I grabbed a pen and a sticky note. I wrote 3 tiny tasks. Book therapy, plan Saturday, cook dinner. I set a timer and cleaned the sink. Now, I know what you're thinking. Cleaning a sink, that is nothing. But my hands shook while I ran the water, and I needed a start. I opened a map on my phone and searched for things within bus routes. I circled a museum, a food market, and a park. I sent my wife a message. "Hey, I found a place for Saturday lunch." She didn't answer. My stomach twisted. I booked 2 timed tickets anyway. When she got back from training, I met her in the lobby. I held out 2 printed passes. Her eyebrows lifted. "You planned something?" I nodded. "Lunch too." Her shoulders didn't soften. "We'll see." We walked in silence to the elevator. "Look," I started. "I know I'm late." She kept her eyes on the floor numbers. Late is still late. The elevator chimed and I swallowed. That night, I cooked in the tiny kitchenette. I boiled pasta and chopped tomatoes. My hands they wouldn't stay steady. She came in, set her bag down. I plated food, then stepped back. "It is edible." She poked the noodles. "Thanks." I pulled out a chair. "Tomorrow, museum at noon." She glanced over. "You sure you're coming?" My voice felt rusty. "Yes, I'm coming." Sunday morning, I tightened my laces and grabbed the passes. I locked the door behind us. At the bus stop, we stood apart. The schedule board flickered. An older man asked for directions, and I helped him find the route. My chest eased a little. "On the bus," she scrolled. I tracked the stops and pressed the bell. We stepped off and followed signs to the gallery. I handed over the passes. We wandered through a room of portraits. I studied plaques, then pointed. "This one was restored last year." She blinked. "You read the thing?" I nodded, trying. We paused near a sculpture. "I keep thinking about Mia's text," I said. She looked up, cautious. "What about it?" It was 2 in the morning. I was awake, watching strangers fight. She didn't speak. I was more invested in them than us. She exhaled. "I know." We sat on a bench. So I'm like, "Do you want me to move out?" Her head snapped toward me. "I want you to move, period." And she goes, "Not out, forward." My hands went cold. We left the museum at lunch. I led her to the market. The line twisted, but I stayed put. I ordered something new, not just what I always pick. We sat at a tiny table and ate an awkward piece. Then she dropped her napkin. I met with a counselor alone. Her tone was careful. She told me to quantify hope. I squinted. "What does that mean? 3 weeks?" "That is all it took last time I gave you." Her jaw tightened. "You didn't notice." Heat rose in my chest. We walked back to the hotel slower. I unlocked the door and set my keys down. "Give me the 3 weeks again." My voice came out quiet. "And check me daily." She leaned against the counter. "I don't want to parent you." "Then treat it like proof, not permission." She considered, what proof? Actions that cost me comfort. We made a list on the notepad by the phone. I wrote in block letters. Daily dinner cooked. 1 date weekly planned. Phone away evenings. Therapy booked and attended. She added, "Talk with me about one thing you learned." "Start tonight," she said. Her voice was still cool. "Okay." Scene break in my head, because here is where it got harder. I opened our streaming app and picked a documentary on urban planning. I know, nerdy. We watched half an hour. I paused it. "So I'm thinking," I started. "How do we set up our house for fewer friction points?" She tipped her head. "Like what?" "Hooks by the door so coats actually get hung." I moved the shoe rack, mounted 2 sturdy hooks, and taped our little list above the counter. I set alarms. I hid my phone. I cooked. I scrubbed the pan. I watched the timer and stirred sauce. My jaw unclenched for once. After dinner, I slid my phone into a cheap lockbox. The lid clicked. I put the key on the fridge. My leg bounced. but I left it there. We sat across from each other. What did you learn today? I learned my defaults, I said. The path of least resistance equals disrespect. She picked at a napkin. And tomorrow. I booked therapy at noon, her eyes lifted. You found one. Private pay. 2 sessions weekly. She nodded once. That counts. We did dishes together. I dried. She stacked. The rhythm steadied me now. I know what you are thinking. Basic adulting, trophy unlocked. But here is where it gets crazy. The therapist did not let me wiggle. I booked the appointment and showed early. I sat on my hands. The therapist listened for a minute. Then she drew 2 circles on paper. Withdrawer, pursuer, she said. You shut down. She storms the gates for connection. That dance ends marriages. I swallowed. How do I stop dancing? She wrote numbers. 3 practices daily. 1 check-in. 1 task completed without prompting. 1 curiosity shared. Curiosity, wonder out loud. Not performance. Discovery. That night, I practiced. I noticed the hooks help, I offered. Why did we wait years? She glanced over. Because I kept asking. You kept nodding. My nods were exits. Exactly. Part of me wanted to apologize on loop. Part of me knew sorry without change would wreck it faster. I opened a calendar app and built our next 3 Saturdays. Not perfect. Just planned. A park walk. A tiny theater. A class for making dumplings. I bought the tickets, then printed them. My hand stayed steady this time. She came home from work and towed off her shoes onto the new rack. You cooked again. Chili tonight. I stirred the pot. Also, the dumpling class on the 14th. Her mouth twitched. You picked food with flavors. I picked us, I said. The words surprised me. We ate. After we hit our check-in. One thing you learned, she prompted. I exhaled. Silence can be an attack when someone needs you. Her voice softened. Thank you. We went to bed a little closer. I held my breath for a second. Then I let it out slowly. By the end of week 1, my screen time was down to 2 hours daily. I cooked 5 nights. We did the park walk. And I actually led a route. You know that feeling when your body remembers how to steer. It felt like that. Week 2 hit harder. My boss scheduled a mandatory Saturday rollout. Our tickets were for the same night. My palms went cold. Old me would have folded and pushed our plan. New me drafted an email. I requested to shift my hours and offered a late night block Sunday. I proposed a colleague swap. The manager replied, brusque, not possible. I stared at the screen, then I stood up. I walked to his office. I need 2 hours Saturday night. He frowned. We all need everything. I nodded. I will cover 2 extra on Sunday. I will prep the deployment list now. His nostrils flared. Why? Because my marriage cannot lose again. He looked at me for a beat. Fine, 2 hours. I thanked him. My shoulders dropped. I texted my wife, keeping our plan, wrapping work around it. She replied with a single heart. My chest loosened. The tiny theater felt like another planet. We sat close in creaky seats. After the show, we stood on the sidewalk and laughed about one actor, missing a cue. It was small. It was enormous. We grabbed dessert at a place she loved. I ordered something I could not pronounce and just tried it. I know, basic. But for me, it was an act. Sunday was a grind, but I showed up. I covered those hours. I cooked a simple stir-fry after. I managed. My jaw did not clamp. Monday morning, she left a folded page on the table. Not a note. A letter. The date at the top read August 14th. 3 weeks before our trip. The paper was creased and thin. My fingers tingled as I opened it. It was a goodbye she never sent. She listed the ways I went missing. Friday dinners alone. Holidays where I smiled at my phone instead of our kid. Weekends where plans died because I would not pick. She wrote, I will not mother a husband. I will choose myself by October 1st, if nothing changes. My stomach dropped. You wrote this. She watched my face. I did. Why give it to me now? Because you are asking for proof. This is what almost happened. Her voice was steady. It can still happen. I held the page and felt the floor under me. I am not going to make you read another one. Then keep going. We met the couple's counselor that Thursday. A cancellation opened a slot. I grabbed it the second the receptionist offered. We arrived early and sat on opposite sides of a couch. The counselor adjusted her glasses and glanced at our intake forms. She leaned forward, her face grave. If this withdrawal pattern continues 3 more months, I would advise separation for her safety. You will crush each other. My hands went cold. So what changes that? Repair attempts daily, follow through visible, and no more secret debts to screens. My wife looked down at her lap. I do not want to leave. I found my voice. I do not want you to leave, the counselor nodded. Then both of you act like it. We left with homework, a weekly state of us talk, a shared plan board, a curiosity jar for dates. I bought a board, a cheap jar, and a set of sticky notes for our homework. I cleared the counter, wiped crumbs, and fixed the board where we would see it daily. I wrote headings, plans, check-ins, dinners, and the curiosity jar pics. She watched from the doorway without speaking. My heart thudded, but I kept writing. I dropped folded slips into the jar and shook it. You are really doing this. I nodded and tapped the board. State of us Sundays at 5. She stepped closer, wary but curious. I handed her the jar. Pick one for Friday. She swirled the slips, then pulled a blue one. No phones night. My hands went cold then steady. Deal, I said. We cooked together and ate at the table with the jar sitting between us. After dishes, I slid the phone into the lockbox and put the key high. My leg bounced for a minute. She leaned back. Okay, talk. I learned to name my exits, I offered. Silence, scrolling, nods. She folded her arms. And your entries. Touch, questions, planning, I replied. The first no phones night felt strange. We played cards and argued about rules, laughing when we both cheated. My chest loosened for real. Before bed, I reached for the box, then stopped. Not tonight, I told myself out loud. Day 4 punched harder. Work blew up mid-afternoon. My team pinged nonstop and the dashboard lit red. I grabbed the phone without thinking and started typing responses. She walked in early and saw the unlocked box on the counter. Her face went blank. We had a rule. My stomach twisted. Work, emergency. She reached for the jar and tapped it. Pick curiosity anyway. I pinched a slip and opened it. Trade playlists and explained 3 songs. I exhaled and closed the work app. My thumbs tingled. I put the phone back, locked the box, and walked away. Thank you. We sat on the floor and traded songs like kids. I told her why a certain guitar part always makes me breathe deeper. Her voice softened. I did not know that. You never asked, I smiled, then winced at myself. You never offered, she countered, but there was warmth under it. Small wins added up. The dumpling class landed like a reset button. I measured, kneaded, and tore wrappers that stuck to my thumbs. She laughed when mine looked like lumps. These are perfect ugly. We ate our crooked work and grinned. On the way home, she slipped her hand into my arm without thinking. My shoulders lowered. The next week, real conflict arrived. I missed our check-in because a supplier call ran long and I did not message. She waited on the couch and stared at the board. When I finally came in, she stood. You chose them again. My pulse hammered. I screwed up, she pointed to the door. Walk back out and re-enter. What? Re-enter like you choose us. I went into the hall, stood there, then came back and sat down on purpose. I am here now, I said. Steady. She kept her gaze level. Repair it. Check-in starts with appreciation, I offered. You waited for me. I continued. You did not leave. Her jaw loosened. Impact next. You felt unimportant. You felt alone. She nodded once. Commitment. I will set an alarm and text if I am late by 5 minutes. Repair attempt accepted. Her voice went soft as she reached for my hand. We sat there breathing until my pulse slowed. The couple sessions started to change shape. We brought our board updates and our jars. The counselor asked for specifics, not wishes. What worked this week? Hooks reduced chaos, I answered. No phones night. Restored warmth. Where did you fail? I missed a check-in. We repaired it. The counselor looked at my wife. What do you need next? She breathed out. I need him to initiate hard conversations. My throat tightened, but I nodded. Start one now. I turned toward my wife. Do you still think about leaving? Her eyes glossed. Less lately. The counselor held up a hand. Name that shift. Because he shows up, my wife replied, and because he keeps promises. My eyes stung and I swallowed it back. After session, we walked to the car in a light fog of relief. That night we drew another curiosity slip, geocaching in our neighborhood. We downloaded a free app and went outside with a flashlight. We searched by a tree and found a tiny box tucked low. She clapped once and laughed from her belly. My chest felt clear. 2 nights later, my mother called during dinner and asked for tech help. I glanced at the box, then at my wife. I will call her back after we eat. My wife nodded. Thank you for choosing the table. We ate, cleaned, and then called Mom together on speaker. It took 10 minutes and we finished the night present. The next morning, I printed our October plan, with our kid included. Bowling, then tacos, then board games at home. I put the schedule on the fridge and texted both. Our kid replied, Wow, you planned stuff. My eyes warmed and I wiped them. Then came the test I did not predict. A friend invited me out for drinks on a date night, he wrote. We never see you anymore. Old me would have bailed. I called him. I want to catch up, not tonight, you whipped. I breathed through my nose. I am rebuilding my marriage. Silence, then a low chuckle. Respect. Rain check. I hung up, and my shoulders relaxed. October 1st arrived like a checkpoint. We marked it small. I cooked her favorite simple meal, and we ate at the table lit by nothing but us. After, I pulled the nearly forgotten letter from August and folded it again. We kept the letter to remember almost losing us. She looked at me and nodded once.